Welcome to Carpool for School.
Welcome to Carpool for School.
What's the next book you want to look at for Book Talk Thursday, Tim?
I think it's over there.
Oh, this one? Who's it by?
His name is Andy. He is an author. He studied psychology and he achieved a PhD. He compiled a decade of writing and put it in all those pages. It must have taken blooming ages. So while we're in the car, let's raise the happiness bar, because this book is indeed a truly great read. Oh, the little book of being brilliant is a fantastic little book, which is definitely worth a look. Oh, the little book of being brilliant. It is engaging and truly life-changing. So on Thursday, yeah, let's talk about that.
Imagine if Andy was just knocking about now, Tim. Just imagine. And we could just pick him up and talk about his book. That'd be tremendous, wouldn't it, Tim?
Be incredible.
Be insane. Guess what, Tim?
What?
There he is.
Oh my goodness!
What are the chances?
What are the chances?
Pick him up. There he is, Tim.
Oh, hello.
Oh.
Can I come in?
Of course. I mean, what are the chances, Andy? What are the chances?
Oh, guys, I can't believe it. I'm big fans, by the way.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of what you do, and I always just thought it was a setup, like you randomly. Here I am.
Here we are.
Fellas.
Here we are.
And the belt is on. Health and safety never takes a holiday.
Fantastic.
You've definitely been watching, so
Yes.
fantastic. So you're just in time for Book Talk Thursday, Andy. And we're talking about your fantastic little book of being brilliant.
Cool.
Can you give us a basis or synopsis about what the book is all about?
Oh, well, for about, I used to be a proper teacher back in the day, but then I discovered a subject called positive psychology, which is basically the science of happiness and the science of well-being. So I spent 12 years at Loughborough Uni getting myself a PhD, and what I had to do was seek out happy people and follow them around and work out why they're so happy.
Yeah.
So the little book of being brilliant is trying to take 130,000 academic words down to about 20,000 funny ones.
Yeah. One of the things that have interested Tim and I is the neuroscience behind it. So neuroplasticity and the creation of new neurons in your brain, from what you were saying. I know the science side of it, a little bit geeky, Tim. But the creation of the new neurons in the brain is because what you were saying there, the rewiring of the brain is the way of thinking differently. So, for example, if you're in a traffic jam and you might think, oh my God, I'm in a traffic jam, I need to get home, blah, blah, blah. But then if you think about it slightly differently and go, what can I do in this traffic jam? I can reflect on my day, I can think about what I need to do tomorrow, or you might have an audio book and you use that time effectively. So next time you get into that traffic jam, you see it in a different way. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
The problem with the human brain is it's built with what's called negativity bias, which means we're predisposed to get angry in a traffic jam or to spot the negatives. Your brain is scanning the environment, looking for dangers and problems, and it's really, really good at that. And probably the biggest challenge of being a happy person is not to learn new things, it is to let go of bad habits and stop thinking the things. You have about 80,000 thoughts a day, and about 75 of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday. So letting go of old habits is harder to do than learn new habits.
Okay, Tim, what are your key takeaways from the book?
Well, what really spoke to me is a little bit what you touched on. Is often we can look at and people speak about what's wrong and what's going wrong, looking at the more negative, the more limiting sides of things. And often we need to talk about, well, what's going right and where are the positives. And I suppose what my biggest takeaway from your book is, as a Senko, when I'm looking at students with needs, is often professionals can look at all the negative sides, and I've been trying to focus very much more on the positives. And where are things going right? What are their interests? How can we maximise the things that they do find interesting and have the highest expectations from them? Now, reading through the book, it's you put a comment on the greatest hits, and this is a 10 years worth of writing, 12 years worth of a PhD in a single book. And do you see it as very much of a greatest hits?
I wrote my original Art of Being Brilliant book about 10, 11 years ago now, and right at the start of the PhD, before I really had any findings, the original Art of Being Brilliant was written out of enthusiasm for the subject. But the Little Book of Being Brilliant is updated, so with 11 years down the line, you learn some stuff. And if you think about positive psychology, for 130 years since psychology has been around, it's been exclusively about negativity and illness and anxiety and depression, paranoia. So psychologists for 130 years would study what was wrong with you, and we've never ever, and I mean almost literally never, studied people who are already happy. The handful of people you can think in your life, and there'll be there's a handful in this car, who are optimistic, who've got a smile on their face, who've got a spring in their step, and who've got this kind of really, I describe it like the ready brek glow on the outside. Those people have never been studied on the grounds of them not being ill. So I decided to study them on exactly the same grounds. Who are they? What are they doing so they're not ill? And what can we learn from them that we can do so we're not ill either?
In all of these psychologies, why do you think it is we always focus on the negative, so to speak, or the what's going wrong?
I think it's not just psychology, it's everything focused on the negative. Every time there's if you look at the news, we're shouting it. I think in 130 years, 140 years when we're dead and gone, historians are going to look back on 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and we're going to be labelled the angry years. I think whether it's Brexit or Trump or Boris or whatever it is, we've got a lot of angry people out there at the moment. And I describe it a bit like, have you seen The Sixth Sense? Have you seen the movie Sixth Sense? Bruce Willis movie, right? It's a bit of a spine chiller. There's a classic line in that movie where this little lad looks at Bruce Willis and he says, "I see dead people." And I think if you look around, I see them as well. On a Monday morning, look in the staff room. Hey, there's dead people in there. There's people who are they've got a pulse, but they're not truly living. And it's that. Come on, ECG. I describe it like an ECG. You know when your heart stops and you go clear, clips. The Little Book of Being Brilliant is about that wakey people. Destination addiction. Teachers, everybody gets it, but teachers have got it worse than anybody else. Destination addiction means that on a Monday morning, most teachers' aim is to get through the week. Or survive till half term. How many staff rooms have I been in with a whiteboard, number of sleeps till half term, with a day of kind of, and what I'm really saying is you spend a seventh of your entire life on Mondays. That's a massive chunk of most people's life that they're wishing didn't exist. So I think positive psychology, we can't do away with Mondays, they are there, but we may as well fall in love with them. As a teacher, your job, I mean, gosh, if you're not feeling inspired, then the kids aren't going to feel it off you. So this becomes crucial that you fall in love with Mondays. Monday's another opportunity to inspire the kids. Monday's another opportunity for you to feel inspired and make a bit of a difference to somebody.
In the book, there's that great image of you've put somebody's face on Monday and how it changes from Monday
all the way
to Friday.
That's what was me.
And on Saturday you're buzzing, and on Sunday morning you're still buzzing, and about 4 o'clock you go, oh no, it's Monday tomorrow.
If you look around, it's very easy. We're back to what I said earlier. It's really easy to learn that, and everybody learns that as a social meme. But letting go of that is really hard. If you try convincing the staff room that Monday's the new Friday, lads, you'll get bullied at work for that. And you leaping in on Monday going, woohoo, don't those weekends drag. You will stand out for the wrong reason. That's two happy fellas.
A story you put in the book is when a teacher turns around to you and says something like, oh, I'm not feeling happy, but I tell you when I'm going to be happy. 3 weeks in time, because I'm going to be on holiday. And that really resonated for me, because I think sometimes I might be a bit guilty of that at times. And when you said the phrase, Andy, and tell me if this is incorrect, sometimes we need to forget about associating with happiness where our feet are and making sure where our head is.
Yes, well, we're back to the thinking, changing the thinking. I mean, who said Mondays are bad? Let's argue it the other way, right? So what if we argued that Friday is another week closer to death? Which you could easily argue, but we're like, yay, Friday. So surely Monday. I don't want to scare your viewers, but the average lifespan is 4,000 weeks. Right, that's a recurring theme in the book. Now, I'm a bit older than you fellas, but I tell you, when you get past 50, you realise that's not a very big number, and I've used a few. So what we're really doing in positive psychology in the Little Book of Being Brilliant is your 4,000 weeks. It's not really about work, it's not really about school, it's about wakey to your 4,000 weeks.
And talking about that wakey, in the book you talk about, you've said it at a primary school, you said, guys, we have got 4,000 weeks, and they're so optimistic, thinking, oh my goodness, we've got so much time. We are going to achieve so much. And if you're doing it to, people that are maybe not at primary school, people that are in the workplace, people that are drawing into the pension or anything like that, and say, actually, we've got 4,000 weeks. You might have had quite a large percentage of those. That optimism it's completely gone.
Well, if I announce that you've got 4,000 weeks to live to a staff room, there's less punching of the air, shall we say. A bit more of a collective gulp, like I've used a few. And it really is, life is a short and precious gift, guys.
Matt, what are your takeaways from the book?
One of the key things for me, Tim, is gratitude. It's one of the quickest ways to make sure that you're kind of seeking that happiness. And for me, what I've always found is that happiness is an emotional response, and it's very hard to maintain that. And when we try and find joy in what we do, and we look at what we do in terms of the gratification of and gratitude in the morning, one of the key things that I've started doing is every morning when I wake up is I'll look at the maybe 3 key things that I'm grateful for, and then that just starts your day in the right way, and it just gives you that psychological kind of advantage in the morning, because you look at the world in a different way.
You do, well, that's what it does. It gradually, positive psychology, I mean, there's more science in the book than meets the eye, but basically it's about rewiring how you think.
Yeah.
So the whole point about happiness isn't even a thing, it's not a real thing, it's not got a shape or a form or a mass, you can't buy it in Sainsbury's. It's a feeling, and therefore it's what we call a mental construct, which in plain simple English means there's only one place your happiness can ever come from, and that is your thinking. So gratitude is a really good way of rewiring your thinking. One of the things I talk about in the little book of Being Brilliant is we're back to gratitude again, and my life changed in 2008. I was reading a book on mindfulness, and one of the sentences said, what you need to do is wake up in the morning being really grateful you've not got toothache. And I kind of I thought it was a bit weird, but I thought I'll give that a go, and I did it not just once, but I did it every single day for a whole year, 365 days. And that doesn't mean that I leap out of bed going yay, but I get out of bed hand to jaw going, oh, another day, but oh, hang on. Woo! No toothache. What a great start to the day.
Yeah.
So that change of thinking gives me energy. So my kids were happier because Dad was happier. They went off to school happy because I was happy. And it didn't cost anything. It was just gratitude first thing in the morning. Next year, my life had changed. I had the energy of 2 people, so I changed it to kidneys. I just changed the body part. You can choose any body part for this day.
It's a great game. Great game.
Give your kidneys a rub at 6 a.m. Woo! Thanks for working. Thanks for keeping me alive. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but when did you last thank your kidneys is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Most people are like, never.
Yeah.
So, well,